Welcome to my humble office for the day. This is going to be maybe different from what you usually do. So question is, would you be interested in maybe knowing some new stuff about hypnosis and how to deal with it? Yeah? How to deal with any kind of client, no matter how skeptical they are or how easy they are? Yeah? Maybe even get the idea that we don't have to know anything about them and their problems, but still get good results. Would that be awesome? Yes. I might even throw in a couple of techniques that I'll show you guys, and you might even get some hands-on. Would that be okay? Yes. All right, so we're pretty good, ready for go, are we? Yeah, good setup, yeah. No scripts. This is the cool thing about it, because Scriptkilling Hypnosis, what I usually get is people saying like, oh, that's a killer name for it. What is it? Well, it's kind of like in the title, isn't it? I was trained with hypnosis 20 years ago, only scripts. Only, you know, you have to do this list, A to Z, how to do a session, you have to ask these questions, you have to understand, you have to analyze, you have to know all sorts of weird stuff that is not really necessary. And I believed that. And I thought every time I had a client, I need to prepare for that. I spent all weekend thinking about what I'm gonna do on Monday when this client walks in, and the next one, and the third, and the fourth. And I thought I got a good plan. So when I met up to my office Monday morning, 8 o'clock, thinking, I know everything that's gonna happen today. And every single time it was something different. Yeah. I hated it. So it's kind of like, it took me a couple of years to really understand that all the time I spent preparing for it was, you know, useless. And it gave me worry, it gave me hard work that was not supposed to be. It made it, you know, less fun to do hypnosis. And I just started experimenting with it. Starting asking questions, because I'm the kind of guy that, you know, I've heard so many great speakers already on this conference. And I agree with most of it, and the things I disagree with is just me being limited in some kind of belief because it's their reality, and I need to broaden my reality to understand, right? So that's my belief today. I used to think I knew everything. I know nothing. But I know what's gonna, you know, be my benefit in my reality. I can back everything up through evidence, through clients, thousands of sessions. So I trust my skills in any kind of situation that has to do with hypnosis. But I want to learn more. I love going to trainings even if I know, to me, it's gonna suck, because now I know what not to do. And I want to be intrigued by thinking I know what not to do, but still get the idea, he's onto something. What is it? But I don't just buy anything like, oh, that's the truth. I will ask questions. And that brought me on the road to a guy called John Overdurf. Everybody who I trained with, that's a big trainer, well, considering where you come from, Igor, Melissa Tiers, whoever, all refer to one single guy, all of them, John Overdurf. And I'm like, okay, who is that guy? And I became a trainer for Igor for several years. I was with him running the HTA Academy and stuff like that, did all the online stuff for him. But something was missing because I thought it was too complex in my world. Why conceptualize something that is pretty simple to be something that's a little bit more difficult so the concept fits, you know, a product? My clients are not products. I understand how to sell a product and why we call it a product, because you might learn from it. But if the product is just to sell it, we have an issue, because that's not based on clients' needs, and that's a problem. And if I, as a student, I'm a really annoying student because I ask questions. And if I feel my teacher cannot answer the question or gives me the answer, well, it's in my book. I'm like, why is it in your book then? Well, I describe it in my book, so again, next question, so what's the evidence? Well, it's kind of like a philosophy. Can use that, what's the evidence? I need to know. Because ideas, We love them because ideas is what's going to create a new path, a new idea, a new set of testing on hundreds or thousands of clients. And when we got good results, then we have a technique that can actually be used for something good. All right? So that's kind of like my idea of doing hypnosis. That's what I want to do. I want to teach stuff that I know works because I can prove it anytime, anywhere. And on that path to John Overdorf, I kind of like met him in New York for 3 days. And 1.5 days into the training, I have already learned everything in those, 1.5 days that Igor has, showed me in 5 or 6 years. I'm like, this guy is on to something. He's a brilliant mind. Everything is playful. People ends up smiling within 2 minutes and being totally confused. Awesome, because that's good, right? And getting results instantly with this simple belief that everything has a positive resource or intention. Even though you have the most dark mind and you don't see anything possible happen that's positive in whatever future you think that's coming, there's still resources. You just haven't found it yet. You haven't seen it yet. But if you have an idea that something could be better, you already got the resource. Otherwise, you couldn't think of that idea. So that's how simple it is. What we need to understand is how the brain works, because that's really my second path. I call it, my old life was when I was just a regular hypnotherapist. That's my old life, where the books told me what to do, and the books took away all the conversation between me and my client. Big issue, because everything is based on that conversation. I usually define the difference between a hypnotist and a hypnotherapist with this kind of definition. Hypnotist tells the client what to do and what not to do. There's no conversation. We just accept the problem they have and manifest that as a reality and just tell them what to do or what not to do. Back to Bob Newhart, right? Stop it. Yeah. Just stop it, or bury you alive in a box, right? A hypnotherapist, in my opinion, is where you have a conversation with the client. They don't know what the problem is, otherwise they would have solved it, right? They think they know it, but it's their reality. And that's the reason why I don't do pre-talks in a classical way, talking about the problem, because the problem does not exist in my world. They might feel it exists in their reality, but I'm going to go to specifics of how the brain really works in situations like that, and maybe that will make sense to you then, why I don't do it. Because the more you talk about the problem, the more it manifests, not only in the brain, but throughout the whole body. So imagine talking about sexual assault or something like that for half an hour, and maybe even going to the old school suggestion tests to see if your client can go into hypnosis. Come on, everybody can do that. And then say, now it's time for hypnosis. I think we have a problem, because the whole body shivers from anxiety or, not knowing what to do or being afraid, because we just went through the whole situation of what the client thinks this is the problem. That's an issue. I struggled with my clients back then when I did it that way. Right now, I do so many pattern interrupts within the first 3 minutes that they don't know what hit them. And they don't know when hypnosis starts or ends, because that takes away all the, kind of like the mindset of, we need to know and understand what's going to happen. We need to know when hypnosis starts and when it doesn't. They don't know. Even when it happens, they don't really know it. I don't really know when it's going to happen anyway. I know when I'm in it, and I'm definitely going to be in it before I see my client, because they follow me along, right? They follow me into the trance. So what's really important about this is, if we start from the beginning, why don't I need to understand the problem? Well, because it manifests. The problem is not the problem. From 95 to 98% of all clients I've seen so far, and if I compare my numbers with other trainers, John Overdorf, other people, Steve Rame, who else is there? 95 to 98% of all clients who think they know what the problem is not the problem. That's a lot. From 100 people, almost 98 is wrong. So why spend time talking about it? Okay? So can we agree on the fact that the unconscious mind knows what's better? Yeah? If it says, well, I don't really know, well, that's your conscious mind talking, right? So it's all about getting into the unconscious. There's only one straight way in: confusement. Confuse your client so they don't know what's up and down, or right or wrong, and then suddenly it just pops out and they get surprised by the words that's coming out of their mouth, like, oh, did I just say that? Well, that makes sense. Surprise, right? That's the unconscious mind suddenly revealing something that's really, really, really important. Another thing I don't do ever, at all, never and never, ever, analyze or draw conclusions on behalf of my client. Never. Because that's my reality. That's my idea. That's my reference. That's my life. Has nothing to do with my client. If my client says something like, I just want to feel free, and I go, I know that feeling. No, I don't. So I would never say that. I wouldn't even go, beyond that, because maybe I feel I have an even better word for feeling free, and go and say, well, maybe this is the word you're looking for, like unlimited. It's even better. Unlimited in my world might be powerful, but for the client it might mean nothing. Okay? So I call these words power words, emotional layered words that has several meanings to it, several layers of emotion, several layers of experience. So if they say this certain word as the best word for them, I just praise it and I use it again and again and again with them and against them. Against them, yeah, we're gonna get back to that because this is the fun part, right? So usually my pre-talk is something like, so what do you think your problem is? And they'll go, well, and I'm going to stop them immediately saying, we were going to get right back to that in just a moment. Would that be okay? Because I need the compliance. And they go, oh, okay. Because now we have a huge pattern interrupt. So now their conscious mind goes like, what the hell is happening? I'm used to talk about my problems. This guy, he's going somewhere different. What is it? Right? Awesome. So we have a body now that wants to feel something, but it's not the problem right now. So that's good, because now we might feel resources and stuff. So the next thing I do is that, well, this might be a weird question to you, but how good do you want to feel when we're done? And they go, oh, never thought about that, right? So they might have expectation of this. Let's say this is the outcome they think they want. So if they have a high set of expectations, I would go, that's awesome. What if we push it up a bit? Turn it up a notch. Because I know if they believe that they can feel this great after the session, I promise you I can make them feel this great. Because this is based upon they believe their problem is a problem. So when they suddenly realize it's something different, the whole world opens up and everything is possible from now on. It's just a matter of imagination, feeling amazing, and start looking at options instead of limitations. And it doesn't take that much, really. And it makes it easier for me, actually, because I don't have to know anything. Back to that fact, we don't have to know anything. We don't have to understand the client. We just throw everything back at them. I think I actually have a demo that's available online, YouTube somewhere, where somebody challenged me at Hypnothoughts like 4 or 5 years ago, saying, so do you claim you can actually do a session without actually even providing any kind of information? So, I'm going to show you. So I did a 5-minute session with someone who claimed they had a problem. Only thing I did was just repeating what they said, and they cleared up their own problem within 5 minutes and said, how did you do that? Well, my setting was just on repeat now, so I didn't do anything. I just threw back what they said to me as a question. So if they said something like, well, I just want to feel better, I would go, you want to feel better? And they go, yeah, actually, because, and then they start answering their own statement and going even deeper into it. One of the oldest techniques in conversational-based therapy is, who are you? And you start answering that, and then you ask the question again, who are you? And then you start answering it again, because first of all, it's usually identity. Then it's behavior. Then it's your own, idea of who you think you are. Then it's all relations, and then suddenly, ow, it's painful. Because now it's everything you think you're not good at. And you go deeper into the layers, and then suddenly realize, I'm me. And I feel vulnerable right now. And if you don't know how vulnerable you can feel, you can't feel strong in any kind of situation. You don't know who you are, and that's painful. So I usually say, if you go down 10 layers, you will have every human being crying at some point, not from pain or from feeling hurt, but from feeling suddenly amazed by how powerful they are, how resourceful they are, just by asking the question, who are you? So that's usually what I do. I just throw the things back at them without even understanding why they say it, because they will answer it. I listen, and I might have my own idea, but I want them to really express themselves the whole way through, so they get to their own reality of the real issue, okay? And everything can be reframed to something positive. Everything has a higher positive intention. So I never believe something like, oh, this is really bad. We heard the words today, regression and parts therapy and all of that. I use whatever, really, as a technique, as long as my client seems to benefit from it. As long as they provide the information and not me, okay? So everything has a higher positive intention, definitely. And if we have if you know a little bit of NLP, if we can do so we have the two opposing parts, and if we kind of chunk it up, they have the same intention. So how could it be a conflict anymore if they have the same intention? It's just a matter of the behavior in between. So kill the behavior and go to the positive intention. It's done. It's dealt with. Okay? But we're going to go all the way back to that. I want to talk about how the brain works. Would that be okay with you guys? Because that might make everything feel more like, oh, that's what you're talking about. Now it makes sense. So how many brains do we have? Well, okay. Sorry? 4? How many? 3. Yeah, 3. Which one? How many? Which is it? Wrong. That's just 1, because that's all connected. Nope, that's not a brain. No, that's just an idea, a thought. We have 3 brains. We have the brain, right? That's connected through the vagus nerve with your heart. The heart has somewhere between 40 and 50 million neurons in it. That's pretty much, isn't it? It doesn't do any thought process, but if it feels good, it goes straight into your senses, and that is your body telling you, this is right. I trust that, totally. Way more than the thought. If I feel right, and I feel I have my heart with me, it's always the right decision in that very moment. Then we have the gut brain. You know, the stomach feeling, the old cliche. I believe it. I can't really remember how many it is, but I think it's somewhere between 400 and 500 million glial cells and neurons within your stomach. It's actually just as powerful as your reptile brain in your brain. So if it feels right down here, you're probably right. And that's really your body telling the truth, not your mind figuring out how to create, the unreal reality. So we have 3 brains. If they work in alignment, it's all good. Because what's happening in this brain that kind of, tells us what to do in whatever situation, how to behave and all of that. If we have, this is my drawing of a brain, don't laugh. This is a brain, all right? If we have a negative thought right here, that's the negative thought. What happens when it gets triggered is it fires off a lot of energy. All the neuron fires off. It lights up in your brain. You can see that if you actually get through a scanner, you can see when you get a new idea, it fires off, lights up just like that, small flashes. And the more you talk about the problem, the bigger it gets. And the bigger it gets, the more easy it will be to actually pull some more stuff into the problem without it being the problem. Because it's anchoring, right? It's anchoring. So suddenly, if you had something like a neutral area, suddenly that's part of it too, because you did something, you concluded something within the conversation. Oh, is that because you, and the client goes like, oh yeah, I think it is. So now those two things are connected, right? So the problem grows. And this is what really happens in the brain with the neurons, with the synapses. It just grows, and if it's the most dominant feeling, the most powerful energy, it stays that way. Maybe that explains, you know, feeling depressed or whatever. Could be. Is that a question? Yeah.
When you say negative thoughts, are you saying that negative thoughts are only in the brain?
Well, let's not have the conversation where thought actually is. Because I don't believe it's inside the brain. I think it's somewhere, I don't know. Science today cannot really agree on that fact, but there's just as much proof as thought being outside than inside. So, yeah, I'm not a doctor. I can't tell that, but I read all the research. So, but what's happening really is, if you suddenly leave the problem as it was when the client gets inside the room, and who starts to talk about all the resources, new areas start to light up in different places in the brain. The more you activate that and power it up, and every time there's a problem, you reframe that with a positive intention, something that's real within the client, they suddenly realize, oh, is that why I'm doing it? Okay, that makes sense. Suddenly it swallows the problem. So people will say, well, will it stay that way? Would that be okay? Because my experience is when I tell my client not to do it, they might feel, okay, that feels like, you know, it's obvious, I shouldn't do it. But a week after, they keep doing it. So is this really working? Well, this is the brain. So if there's change happening in the brain and the most dominant thing is the positive behavior, it's going to stay like that until something more dominant kind of overrules that. And that could be a negative thing if you have a new trauma outside in Fremont because something weird happens, right? Because that's called normalization. And normalization is when you have a behavior that gets triggered again and again and again, it becomes your normal behavior. So if you kind of like have, like, let's say, you have a wave of, this is a thought or state condition within your body and your brain. And when it peaks, do you know for how much time a feeling, a sensation, emotion can peak? Well, they used to say 9 seconds, but it's down to 3 or 4 according to John Overdorf. 3 or 4 seconds, that's the most powerful moment within an emotion that it peaks. The whole wave, they usually say it's around 90 seconds, but it might be down to 45 that it can actually, you know, live for one wave like that. And the more negative things you have in a sequence, like getting out of the bed, hitting your knee, like, oh, damn it, and then dropping whatever, your phone or whatever, oh, because now the body looks for everything that can support that first behavior, then suddenly you have a lot of peaks within a sequence that is a constant feeling, emotion, or state. That's normalization. Okay? Now you trained your brain to actually stay in that position, and that could be everything from a couple of seconds to 4 hours to really create the change work so it stays there. How fast does a trauma actually appear in your mind, or in your body, or in a human being? To get like, that's a trauma. How fast does it go? Most likely faster than that sound, right? So could it be, you know, released just as fast? Most likely. Unless you really powered it up in the brain as being a bigger problem than it actually is. Because if your client believes, now this is my problem, and you just pay attention to that small part, it might not work. Okay? And that's what's happening in session that goes bad. So if that's the reality of the client thinking, this is my problem, it's that door, it's that color, it's those people looking at me right now, it's a Tuesday, I hate Tuesdays, everything like that, but that's not really the problem. So if you start working with those things, you won't resolve the problem, never. So that would be a lifelong client. My bank loves that, really. I hate it because it's freaking boring. It is, because there's no progress, really. So what happens if you actually ignore everything and don't trigger it, don't fire it up in the brain, but start talking about resources? Now you have something that suddenly surprises the client and becomes a little bit more powerful, and now you have a new normalization that is even more powerful than the negative behavior you had just a moment ago. And the more you fire that off, the more you trigger it, the more you blitz it, if you use an Igorian word, right? The faster it sticks within the mind. The faster it goes throughout all the cells, the vagus nerve and everything, and it kind of like, oh, this is the new reality, I love it, because it's resources, it's powerful, it's positive, yay, intention. So it could be 4 minutes. So what are you going to do with the rest of the 56 minutes within the session? Repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. That's what I would do. It's not that, well, if it's 3 minutes, you still pay for 5. So we can stop it or bury live in the box. I don't give change. So I would say throughout a session, the moment where the problem is released or changed into a positive intention, so it's not a problem anymore, is a split second really. For the client to understand it, that's the issue. For it to be normalized, that's the issue. That's where it takes some skill and some knowledge, how to keep firing that within the client. But it actually is, it's really easy actually, because if you don't pay attention to the problem, but start talking about all the resources, and it keeps pushing them in that direction, that everything, everything you think you are, you're way more than that. All your eyes change, or changing, right? Then everything is possible. Because we have this mindset. The only thing that really goes against us is how our brains are really, constructed to survive, because that's the issue. That's why we have problems. That's why in this kind of world we live in right now, we don't really function well. Because way back, it was all about survival, getting some food, and reproduce ourselves, right? So we had a way different mindset, but we still have the same mindset deep down, okay? Survive, survive, survive. I'm looking at a mammoth in the middle of the room. How do I survive and how do I kill it so my family can get fed? And is that a new woman? Awesome, let's reproduce, right? That's what happened all the time. So it was all about, calculating the risk in every behavior and every movement. Because what if it turns around? What if it stomps on my face while lying down? What if it knocks me over and kills me? What if it pushes me down the mountain or whatever? All sorts of weird reasons. Imagine what happens outside in Fremont if you're having a bad day. Your brain goes, what could possibly go wrong? And then it starts creating stuff. Because that's how we are, naturally wired inside our brains, unless we take control of it. Okay? So I think the last report I saw about this is some psychologist says that our mind is 80% pessimistic. You know that word, right? So it always goes for the negative because it's survival mode. Well, we can take control of that and see options instead. And it's the same thing about dealing with pain. Never kill the pain totally, but create a different signal so we know when something is wrong. Same thing here. Don't be not afraid for everything in your world, because then you will die. Definitely, right? You need to understand what's real and what's not. If the behavior is getting in the way of you actually enjoying your life and surviving, it's a problem. We need to deal with it. But if you suddenly start seeing stuff but still feel safe and still at your best and maybe even more alert and you can control way more, who doesn't want to feel like that, right? So that's how I deal with clients. I'm getting them into the normalization of a different behavior. I don't tell them what to do. They tell me what they want. Again, back to the cliche, if you can think this, it's already happening within you. It's something you already have within you as a resource, as a skill, as an emotion, as a behavior, as a thought, so you already know it. How did you know how to feel that? And they go, huh? Well, they haven't thought about it until now. So every time my client says something like, well, but I feel like this, my response immediately would be, yes, until now. So what is there beyond that? I haven't thought about that. Nope, that was the problem, right? So it's all a matter of playing with the words. I never use limitation in my words when I talk with my client. Like what's not possible. Everything is possible per definition. Everything is possible. I never accept anything they say is a limit to them as being a limit. Because that's their reality until now. Everything has to be now. Because everything is now, right? That's right. Yep. And their reality until now might have been false. I'm pretty sure it's been false until now. So here's a different thing. Let me show this one. I usually do this with my students so they kind of understand the concept. Excuse me for bad drawing, okay? So if everything above this line is reality, and they think they have a problem, right? Okay. The more we talk about the problem, new problems arrive, and talk about those problems, new problems arise, and before you see it, everything is totally pitch black. Bad, right? And if you ask them, so why do you think you have this problem? Well, when I was 37, something happened. I'm pretty sure it's all that because my therapist said, my mom said, my kids said, yada, yada, yada. New problems, new problems, new problems, new problems. It's just like peeling an onion. Would be awesome for my bank and my account and my income, but I'm getting bored doing it, right? And if we ask about that, they might go further back, and then, and through conversation, that would take a while, wouldn't it? If we accept everything as a problem, I think we will never be done, actually. And I would hate going to the office every day, talking about problem as being real, and trying to understand it, and trying to feel what my client feels. I would have a problem going back to my family at night and feel happy, right? I used to feel like that because I believed my clients. And I thought it was my responsibility to help them. Even if it was outside of office hours because they needed help now and I was the only one. Fuck off. No, I'm not. I'm open tomorrow at 9. If you don't have an appointment, book one. It might be, the week after. I don't care. It's not my responsibility. So what happens through hypnosis is, first of all, we're going to totally destroy the idea of their reality and their world by going to resources immediately, or positive intention, or the wanting, the outcome state. That is a pattern interrupt by itself because we're not wired to do like that. And if we then go to the behavior, to the thought process and all of that, then suddenly they have a new memory, they think. They think they have a new memory about the age of 6 where something happened. I was sitting home one day, I did this amazing drawing to my dad because he loves boats. And I drew this amazing boat in the Caribbean. I spent the full day just painting it, putting colors on it and everything. I couldn't wait until my dad came home. What I didn't know was my dad had a shitty day at job, right? And who knows, maybe he got fired. So when he got in the door and I was standing there, 6 years old, look, Dad, I got a drawing of a boat. He wasn't happy. He went, step aside, I need to talk to Mom. throw that away. I don't have the time right now. It was just a memory. And maybe I didn't pay attention to what it really was, but as an adult, standing in front of people, showing what I got, talking about my knowledge, big, huge problem. Drawing, I don't want to draw anything so people can actually, analyze it and maybe feel anger because it's bad drawing related to that, right? So that little incident could be, building up to a fear of people in front of you, letting people know what you've done and then being, evaluated by them, or people deciding what to do with you or the things you've done, whatever. It could be crowd, could be a color because the color on the door was blue, it was a blue door, and he shot it like fast and created a shock, so all my nervous system kind of remembered that moment, another shock, another trauma, and then suddenly I have a fear of the ocean because it's blue, or blue doors, or anything that's blue sky, who knows. That's how trauma is created. It's kind of like a frozen moment in time within your brain and your memory. Everything that's in that moment is a trigger in the future to create that old emotion. But what happens shortly after is you forget about the actual situation. Because then people start saying, don't be ridiculous. It couldn't be that because that's nothing. Oh, so it might be something worse? Yeah, well, it would be. Okay, so now we start being creative within our minds, explaining to ourselves what it really is. And everything beyond that original situation is false reality, in my opinion, right? So every time I work with a client who says, I know exactly what the problem is, never been that. I think maybe 1/2% of my clients might know something about it, but there's always another dimension to it. So that's interesting. So I don't, again, back to the beginning, I don't have to know anything about my clients' problems. It would be nice to know a little bit about the background, so I can use those metaphors that fits in or whatever. And that's it. I don't have to know anything. I trust my skills, and I can get them anywhere with the skills I have, as long as they're willing. What I really liked earlier, I think it was you who said that, or was it Scott who choose the clients? Was it you?
Clients.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Just because you want to pay and you found my email or my phone number doesn't mean I accept you.
Well, I was non-guard.
Oh, it was non-guard, okay. Because I pick picky clients with high sets of expectation. You know why? They are having a blast when it actually comes true right after. And that makes my self-esteem way better, right? And their high set of expectation, the reason why I can deal with that is because I have a higher set of expectation. If they feel this is possible and they think that's the limit, I know this might be the limit, so that's double or triple what they think is possible. So they cannot have a higher set of expectation than I have. Most students that I talk with that I've trained, years ago, when they say, well, I had this client who came in and said, well, I got a referral from one of my friends who said they had the most amazing session at your office and they want the same experience. I felt, like, can I really do that? If my clients tell me, like, I heard something about you, I say, okay, hopefully it's good. So yeah, you did this to that woman or whatever and they feel awesome. I want to feel the same way. I would go, why not feel even better? And they go, is that possible? So why wouldn't it be? Could you imagine feeling even better? Yeah, then it's possible. So I just totally destroyed the set of expectation as being a problem to me. Make sense? And I trust I can do it because imagination is the power of everything, right? And that's definitely how I deal with it. So when we get to the actual session, think about this. I really don't know the problem besides maybe a title to it. I don't pay attention to it. If people send me kind of like an ebook of what they think their problem is, I don't read it. If people walk into my office with a list of things they think is the problem, I will say, can I take the paper please? So I can read it and they will give it to me and go like, okay, put it away like, I want to talk to you instead. How do you want to feel when you leave? It might take a couple of times before they actually start talking about it, but it's within 30 seconds, 60 seconds. And they're already on a different path of thinking and behavior. That's good. So my pre-talk is actually done within, a minute or two as a classical pre-talk. When they book a session, I will send them a 7-minute long video of me talking about all the bullshit they have to know about. Don't drink too much coffee, feel relaxed and have a good night's sleep and all that. I say that in the video, not because that's the information, but I'm standing in front of the chair I'm using. I have a cool recliner, automatic chair that goes back really wide so people really feel comfortable, not wobbly in any way. Every time I say anything that has a positive intention, or hypnosis, or trance, or deep down, a great feeling, on the video, I point at the chair. So on a subconscious level, I'm priming them already. And on purpose, when they step into my office, I point at the chair, so let's have a chat, and they go for the chairs, like, not yet. Please sit down by the table. We have to have a chat before we really do the good work. And they go like, but I want to sit in the chair. So that's building more expectation, right? So in that moment, I know if they're ready or not. If they really want to sit in the chair, awesome, it's going to be a good session. If they just stand there, really don't want to pay attention to the chair, I know we have a problem, right? But the problem is not bigger than there might be a misunderstanding. Let's clear that up. Do you really want to be here? If not, let's pick another day then. It's okay with me. If they had a shitty day already and it makes them totally off, thought-wise, why deal with it? Because that's making a new problem into the world of problems. So I wouldn't do that. Relax, take a deep breath, go back home, let me know when you're ready, okay? So people are not to dictate me what to do with my clients. Some clients think they have to tell you how to, treat them in a clinical way. Don't tell me what to do. Same thing happens if I go down to the, to my mechanics, my auto repair shop, and tell them how to, disassemble my exhaust pipe. They will go like, who the hell asked you, right? Like, well, I have this idea. Well, we don't care, right? We have the tools. Trust it. It's okay. Same thing is going to happen in my office. I know exactly what to do when I'm in the middle of the conversation. I trust my gut, I trust my heart, and I got all the skills, and I can apply that to any kind of conversation I'm having with my client. So they just have to trust me. So compliance means everything, definitely. Suggestion tests. Who does that? Anyone? Are you just being afraid of doing this right now? I don't. You do? Why?
I'm still classically trained. If I'm going to do an NLP session, there would be, but if I'm
okay.
doing hypnosis, I would do it. Just a classical convincer. I think it's really
okay. As long as it is a convincer, and you have an out either way, perfect. Because that is the big misunderstanding about using suggestion tests. When it's a problem, imagine this. Scandinavia still, 90% of everybody who's trained is not really trained. And it's just script reading, or it's just, well, you're one of those who cannot go into hypnosis, so you might wait a bit or feel more relaxed the next time. Maybe you kind of, maybe you will walk into the mindset of maybe being able to, but right now you can't. That is a load of beep, right? Because the only problem is the actual therapist. Everybody can do it, but if there's no trust, if there's no authority, if there's no okay, let's do it, we have a problem, but the problem is mine as the therapist. If I can't build that, don't do the session, right? I do have clients once in a while where I feel like, I can't help you. You're not listening, you don't trust me, I don't trust you. That's even worse, actually. And to be honest, this is maybe this is the most important information for you guys. I never, ever, at all, at any time, trust the conscious mind of my clients. Never. If they just stepped into my office from being outside and say, the sun is shining and I can see the sun is shining, maybe I trust them. But when it comes to problems, issues, what the whole thing is all about, I don't trust them at all. I just want them to shut up, to be honest. The sooner the conscious mind shuts up, the better it'll get throughout the session. To be honest, really, it's true. So get them into the chair, and they don't even know when hypnosis is going to hit them. I never tell it. So when they really, when I've done the 5, 6, 7, 8 pattern interrupts, and you can see they start to be totally confused, awesome. Because they're already there, they just don't know it. I would go something like, so before we do anything that has to do with hypnosis, close your eyes for a moment and talk about a place you've been before where you feel really relaxed and safe. And they go, okay, on a beach in Thailand. That's amazing. So imagine being there right now. What kind of sounds do you hear? What kind of smell is there in the air? If you could see it right now, what would you visualize? What would you see? So I kind of like trigger all the senses. Because the whole thing about, if you have a visual client, only talk in a visual language. Stop it, please. Keep triggering all the senses, because if they're very visual, it's only in that moment. Because if you trigger something else, if there's a different emotion, it might be connected to a different sense. So the more you can confuse the senses, the more referrals you will get into the body, because I want them to express, talk, speak, communicate only with the body, not with the mind, because that's more powerful. So the reason why I don't do the suggestion tests is, imagine having someone that was, let's say, sexually assaulted. And we had the pre-talk, and we did it the wrong way, so they're all feisty and not really trusting you, and all the emotions is on the outside, and they don't feel comfortable in any way. And you do like the fun one, hand stuck to the wall, right? And because they have all this, working against them, and you go totally stuck to the wall, just have a go and try and remove it, and see the hand is still stuck to the wall, and they go like, okay, not really working. So how do you think they would feel like if the next sentence was, okay, that's good. So let's go into hypnosis now and talk about the problem. Do you think there's any trust left?
No.
Do you think they trust hypnosis at all? No. So using suggestion tests in that direction, I would never do it. I would never go into the argument with any client about if hypnosis works or not, or if they're able to do it or not. Because just the fact that it might end up being a discussion, it's a problem. If people do it as convincers and they're really good at it, powerful stuff, all right? Because that's part of their persona. I used to do it like that, but I feel today there's an easier way, and that's not talk about when hypnosis is going to begin or not. It's just doing it, because they slip right in. No classical element induction, 15 minutes or 20 minutes relaxation thing or induction or whatever. No, it takes me 3 minutes. All senses are going, they're in a happy place, and we start doing deep traumatic therapy without any resistance, without any problem at all, and they still don't know they're in hypnosis or in trance or under or during or in the middle of or whatever we call it. Because, there's trance or there's no trance. It's not a matter of depth. So many people want to make this a matter of depth, right? Oh, we have to get them to, there's the French model. Is it 37 stages or something like 38 stages? Who gives a shit, right? Because that's a brief moment in time, right? Well, they have to be all theta in the brainwaves. Well, you cannot be only theta. It's everything at the same time, but where you're the most dominant right now. That's connected to your state of mind, your emotion, how your body feels, your daily, energy or whatever, and it changes all the time. So to me, there's like, either you're there or you're not. And it's kind of like, let's not draw it. Imagine this. In the middle of the ocean, there might be big waves on top, might be shitty weather and all of that. It might be sunny. We don't care because that's just the world, right? But in the middle of the ocean, there's the big whale, just lying there, feeling the motion of the ocean. And sometimes, if it's a good day, didn't spend too much energy on stuff, it can stay down there for quite a while. It might even go all the way to the bottom, still listening to the ocean, and can hold the breath for hours, right? But sometimes if we had kind of like a stressful day, go to the surface quite often, take a breath, and just feel it, and then go down again, and then up, take a breath, and then go down again. Everything that's below the surface is trance, okay? So if you're making a problem out of it, you're having a problem. If you don't have the problem. So if they respond to you, and you can hear this is clearly not the conscious mind trying to figure out what's happening, good. If the conscious mind interferes with words like, I think, it might be, I'm thinking about right now, I'm not really sure, and all of that, and you can see the facial expression follows it, well, deepen them just a little bit. Fractionation works. Takes like 15, 30 seconds, and they're down to the bottom of the ocean once again. Okay? It's not that difficult. Either you're there or you're not. Okay? So claiming, and I heard this so many times from respectful teachers saying, you cannot do any deep trauma work unless you're right on the edge of delta or maybe somnambulism phase 1. Okay, so where's the evidence? Tell me about it, because I did that open eye yesterday with someone who had a really huge trauma and it's been an issue for 13 years. But they never close their eyes. How's that possible if you're a somnambulist and you're there? It's not possible. So you're there or you're not. So don't make it an issue. It makes it so much easier for you guys, right? You can hear it. You can see it. It's okay. And don't be afraid of abreactions. Don't instruct your clients how an abreaction feels like before you do the session, because that will be stuck in their mind like, oh, was that an abreaction? Oh, I feel scared right now, and then right in front of you, right? That's not good. It's kind of like, doing the stupid, I'm sorry if I'm going to offend someone, doing the stupid talk with your client about what hypnosis is not. Why? Why spend time doing that? It could be just like saying, hypnosis is a natural thing, and it's where you are in the most control. You can do anything you want to do. So how much of that do you want to do today? Do you want to do the full change today, within 5 minutes? Or do you want to wait 15 until we're done? It's up to you if you want to do it now or a little bit later in the session. It's okay, but you want to do it? Already I primed them with, I did a lot of suggestions already. So now it's not a matter of if it's going to happen or not. It's just a matter of when they feel comfortable, and when we got all this out of the way, and we got some good, feedback. That's it. Okay? Make sense? Yes. Awesome. So let's do something. What time is it? Damn.
Time flies.
This is my issue. I just babble away. It's a rant. It's unstoppable. I'm sorry. Tell me to stop if you want. I just want to share so much stuff, so I'm sorry if I jump a little bit.
You're staying in the problem.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Or maybe I want you guys to think it's a problem, but it's really a positive intention, right?
Let's do something.
You never know. Yeah, let's do something. I had this process a couple of weeks ago when I did an HNLP training with a bunch of new students that didn't know anything about therapy. And the cool thing was, we're not going to break it up in so many parts as I usually do, but the cool thing is, you usually go like, so, hi, your name is, and what do you do? And I'm pretty sure all of you got an idea of what your name is, right? And what you do. Okay. So first of all, so if I ask your name, you're most likely just going to say your name, correct? Okay. So if I ask something like, so let's say, who are you?
I'm Mark.
You're Mark. Okay. So what is that? That's identity, right? But is Mark Mark? Really? Okay. So what do you do?
What do I do?
Yeah.
I help people.
You help people. Aha. So how is that helping you while being on the toilet?
It's simple.
Okay.
Yeah, because I can afford to pay for the toilet paper.
Okay, yeah. But beyond that? Not really, does it?
Not really much.
Okay. So the last time you ate an apple, how did that help you? You know, helping people.
Because I was able to shit it out.
Yeah. Now it's fun and games, isn't it? But you know the answer, it didn't.
Right.
Okay? So that's behavior. Okay? And most people think they know who they are or what their behavior is. So I want you guys to think beyond that. Okay? I want you guys to go beyond that. And this could be pretty overwhelming, just a simple, exercise. So who are you really and what do you do? Think about that just for a moment. Who are you and what do you do? And what you think right now will be better in 10 minutes. Don't worry. It will be even better because no matter what you think you are, you're way more than that. Okay? Okay. So now we already created some kind of a state change. Okay? And that doesn't last unless we do something about it. Okay? There's the current state, there's the end state, there's the state change in between. But I want you guys to think about something in just a moment. Yeah, that's a good thing. So who are you and what do you do? You all got that on some level, right? Okay. So think about this. A great peak moment from your past that made you feel awesome in any kind of way you feel is the most important thing right now. Think about that moment. You all got it? A peak moment where you just felt awesome. You got it? Okay. So I want you to think about this. In that moment, what's missing that's usually there? What's missing in that moment that's usually there? Do you know what it is? Think about it. Well, it's a question you never ask yourself. I'm pretty sure about that. So in your peak moment, what's really missing in that peak moment that is usually with you in every other moment? You got it? Okay. Here's a secret. That's one of your drives. If it's a negative one, we can reframe it because it has a higher positive intention. That's powerful. Okay? So what's present that's usually not there in any other situation? So what's present in the peak moment that's usually not there? Get the idea? That's another drive. Anyone want to share the two words? What's missing and what's there? Yeah?
Fear was missing.
Fear was missing. Okay.
And peace was present.
Okay. So here's a question. If fear was missing, fear of what?
Everything.
How do you know it's fear?
By how it feels?
How does it feel? Do you mind sitting in that chair while we have this chat? Don't worry, I'm not going to do anything.
Yes, you are.
Stay with that thought.
What, that you're going to do
Yeah.
something?
Try not to think about it. So how do you know it's fear?
It's a feeling in here that I associate with fearful moments.
Describe the feeling.
Shaky.
Shaky? In what other situation do you feel the same kind of shakiness, but it's not fear?
Right after my car accident.
Yeah, what was it? What happened right there? Was it not fear then?
No, it wasn't fear at that moment. It was more like just an adrenaline rush.
Awesome. So in what kind of situation would adrenaline rush be powerful? If you could trigger it just like that?
Well, any of them, I guess.
Yeah. So what do you think is the highest positive intention of your body giving you that kind of feeling in your chest? What would be the positive intention in that? Because it's your body showing you, right? Sorry?
Energizing me.
Energizing you. So when you're energized, what could you do?
Oh, I don't know.
Could you do more than when you're not energized?
Sure.
Yeah? So think about a situation where you didn't feel energized, but if you just suddenly felt that, and you then felt energized, what could you do? Do you fear right now how powerful you could be? How energized you could be?
Okay.
Confusement. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So how do you know it's fear if it's also, energy and adrenaline?
I don't know.
No, you don't know, do you? But
No, it's just an association.
but a moment ago it was only fear, but now it's something different. How does that feel? That
You got the confusion thing going.
awesome. Yeah, isn't that awesome?
This is right before I learned something.
Yeah. So what's happening right now with that adrenaline and energy?
I don't know. I don't have it right now.
Okay, think about it then. Try and feel fearful, because you know it's going to be adrenaline and energy.
Okay.
Yeah. Try and connect with that right now. Let me know when you got it.
Well, I've got the sensation, but there's not a whole lot of oomph behind it.
So you got the sensation, so you only got the energy?
I've got the feeling.
You got the feeling.
It's not strong.
It's not strong.
Mm-mm.
So turn it up.
Can't do it.
Okay. It might get even smaller then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where's the fear now?
Wait a minute. Are we sure it's fear?
I don't know. Are you unsure?
Yeah.
I have a fear for that. Yeah. Of being unsure, because it's also adrenaline and energized, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what is it right now? So
It's just a little bit shaky, that's all.
just a little bit shaky. So do you fear being just a little bit shaky?
No,
Okay. So what's the problem?
I didn't have a problem.
Well, you talked about fear. That's clearly a problem to some people.
Well, you just asked. Never mind.
Exactly. Exactly. So what was the second one that's present that usually is not there? What was that? Peace.
Mm-hmm.
So now there's adrenaline and you're feeling energized and peace. It's pretty interesting, isn't it? What is there beyond that, thinking about that right now?
What is there beyond peace?
Hmm? And feeling energized. Because I'm thinking, what is the highest, intention behind the peace? Because is that a feeling throughout the body? Is that a sensation? Is it something you feel within the body?
No,
Feeling peaceful? So your body is not feeling peaceful.
no.
It can't. So how do you feel it's peace?
Well, I guess it was more the absence of the fear feeling.
Hmm. So when it's absent, what do you feel?
Peace.
Okay, how do you know?
I don't.
You don't?
That's just how I identify it.
Okay. But what is that condition when the other thing is not there, but it might be peace?
Mhm. What is that condition?
Yeah, what is it? Must be somewhere. It's just, there's nothing, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Because most people feel something all the time. But you can actually be in kind of a condition where you feel absolutely nothing, total peace.
Mhm.
Does it feel like being empty even?
Well, it just feels like being a mind in space and time and not having a body.
Oh. So everything is possible.
Yeah.
Imagine putting adrenaline and energy into that. Expand it even more. How would that feel?
I can't quite imagine that.
Hmm. How far does your imagination go with those words? If you could. You could just make it up right now, because that's not imagination. How would it feel?
I don't know.
What do you feel right now?
Confused.
Good? Throughout the body?
Feeling the body? No.
So think about that peak moment again.
Mm-hmm.
Something's changed. So what's happening within you right now, thinking about that peak moment? Because that must mean something to you, that peak moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't know. I have a lot of interference in the midsection now.
Yeah, what does that mean?
I don't know.
Yeah?
It just feels really tense.
Okay. But I thought that was empty.
It was.
Okay.
Not now.
Okay. So how do you feel when you get excited?
Usually I feel pretty jumpy.
Okay.
Here.
Okay. Jumpy.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that happening right there?
It's like a band.
Okay. What does that mean?
I don't know.
What is it beyond that? Band. Beyond that.
I don't know how to answer that.
Did you have you ever felt like that before?
Band?
Yeah, that feeling.
Yeah, when I was in labor.
So something new got born. Yeah.
Couple of times.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and what was your peak moment, by the way?
It was actually after a near-death experience.
Okay. So what happened exactly?
What happened with the near-death
Yeah,
experience?
well, to make you feel that, as a peak moment. Why did it become a peak moment to you?
Because it was, I can't even describe it.
Okay. So, so big or?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
huge.
So, is it kind of like outside of the body, kind of feeling, or
Yeah.
so it's everywhere, all around you? Okay. So the drives right now, what used to be fear could be right now energy and adrenaline, and peace was the other one. So what other resources are there right now in that peak moment besides adrenaline, energy, peace? Do you like when you feel adrenaline that something new is happening? But you
Not
can
as
still
a
feel
rule, no.
not as what?
Not as a rule,
No,
no.
not as no rules. But would you feel peaceful knowing that you can actually get the energy when you want it and do something about it?
Oh, sure,
Yeah. We used to be fearful about that, but could it just be energy?
it could.
It could. Could it not?
I don't know.
So now you're uncertain about the fear.
Yeah,
But you were pretty certain about it before.
fear is uncertainty,
Is it?
isn't it?
How do you know? Not to me. Yeah? So we got the drives right now. Okay? So who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
You have no idea. What do you do?
I'm a hypnotist.
Nah. Beyond that.
Beyond that?
Here's a small exercise for you guys. I want you to step inside that peak moment. Think about the energy, the adrenaline, the peace, and everything beyond that. Even just the band feeling, because that's something new happening within you. Something is getting born right now. A new idea maybe, who knows? But what do you really do? You.
I have no idea.
So it's brand new, isn't it?
Mhm.
Would you have been able to answer that like a minute ago, besides just hypnotist? Because you know you're way more than that, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So do you have any problems?
Not really.
Not really. It's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Could you think of one?
Have a problem?
Hmm?
I have a cold.
Well, that's just a condition. It's not really a problem.
No, I don't really have any problems.
So you're perfect.
Just don't have any problems. at
Good.
the moment.
At the moment, you're expecting to get problems later?
Oh,
Why?
They just happened.
Yeah, and what do you get out of it? If you consider, if you decide it's going to be a problem, it must mean something to you. Because you could decide it was something different, just like a challenge or a new bump on the road that's a new learning, but how do you know it's going to be a problem?
Well, I don't.
Okay?
Not knowing things is a problem for me.
Do you fear anything?
I fear not knowing things.
Not knowing things, yeah? But at the same time, it's energy and adrenaline happening because something new is going to happen, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, that's it for now. So, do you see how many changes that happened? I just went around it, way more times than I usually do because I wanted to have that confusion happening. That's, there was a shift several times in her body where her eyes went all around the room, and that's where I usually would attack someone talking about the problem, if there was one, before we actually started. And what I hope would happen also, but the process is still happening, that's good, is how you would change from the negative drive into actually see it might be, a positive thing. And that happened with adrenaline and energy because you didn't know it was a problem. So this way of asking questions usually confuses people. And that's good because how do you know? It was kind of like half a coaching model, if you know that from the Overdorfian way of doing it. He has a coaching model called the void, into the void. It was kind of like half doing that. So what I wanted to do is actually push you a little bit. And if some of the clever ones of you, well, it doesn't mean that the other ones of you are not clever, but if some of you know what I was doing in the middle of it, like, between the words and stuff, I'm really interested in seeing how you feel tomorrow because I put a lot of stuff in there without you knowing it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And I saw Mark sitting like, yeah. Even though it just felt like going around in circles, a lot of stuff was put in there.
Okay.
Yeah. How do you feel now knowing that? Because that was something you didn't know.
Curious?
Interesting.
Because all I got out of it was confusion.
Yeah. And now being curious.
And curious. Yeah.
Okay. So I got my result. Do you see that? Because if I asked her like 5 minutes ago, she would still say fear. That's awesome, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. And I barely didn't do anything, right? So thank you. Thank you. And I didn't do anything really. And what might seem overwhelming once in a while, when people really go like taking notes, is all the language patterns that I do. Like, why did you say it that way? To be honest, I don't know. I don't know. Only thing I do is sometimes I turn up for the volume or the speed to overwhelm her conscious mind because I feel like she went into the thinking process and then I'm going to shoot at her way faster. But if she's in the middle of, whoa, something happened, I slow down and I just go like, did you see every time she had some body language, I just threw it right back at her? Like I felt this, I go like, so that, okay. So just the fact, 2 times I just did that, and she started talking about that feeling of that, sensation, because that's a language too. That's what I do. I didn't, I provided a couple of things, but as a question, and you actually did not accept any of those, but you came up with your own words. Good. So we dug a little bit deeper. Interesting, right? Did I analyze her? No. Did I confuse her? Yeah. So every time she thought she had the solution on a conscious level, I totally destroyed it, right? So this is, and remember, this was not a technique as, let's solve the whole world with this. This is just something totally out of context, but just to show you guys the language pattern and how I throw things back and forth and just, surprise the conscious mind to actually just get the hell out of here. Because at some point it goes like, I'm going on vacation now. I don't like this. And what I'm thinking is, finally, right? So the faster, the better. The sooner, the better. So this could be the beginning of a session, not as powerful or not as aggressive, trust me, but in a way where they think they got all the solutions. I will attack them immediately and have this experience happening so they get surprised and the conscious mind says, see you later. I'm not going to be part of this. I don't trust the reality right now. Good. That's it.
So the more uncomfortable, the better.
The more uncomfortable, the better. Yeah. Does anyone have a problem right now? No, not with me, hopefully. But think about like a regular daily kind of thing, a behavior, something like that, that, oh, this is an issue. I feel it's a problem. Because then I want to show you a different kind of context. Just to have fun and play a little bit with it right now. Anyone? Come on, don't be afraid. Yeah? You got it? Okay. Watch carefully. So, what's the problem, Will?
Frustrated with people.
Why?
Things not go my way, the way that I want them.
How do you know you're frustrated?
Start to feel angry.
How come?
Because when I'm not getting things moving the way that I planned them to move, I start getting angry because I'm not in control of them.
How do you know exactly the way things should go? And how do you know exactly that people are not doing it that way?
Because I've usually spent my time to plan things out, and in my mind I've already...
And everything always goes as planned, right?
No.
Okay. So did you plan that right now?
No.
The thing that just happened? Did you see that?
No.
The fun thing was when you started doing this, your thumbs went like that, like a treadmill. Why did you do that? Was that planned?
No, it wasn't.
But it happened.
It did happen.
It must mean something since it happened. Just leave that for a moment. What was the problem?
Getting frustrated at people when things don't go the way that I planned.
How do you know?
How do I know that I get frustrated?
Hmm?
Feel my heart starting to beat stronger.
Okay.
Start to
How do you know that's you being frustrated? I could think about 1,000 of things that would make your heart beat faster or harder.
I don't know that that's the only
Okay.
reason why it would do that.
Okay. But in certain situations, you decided that's because I'm frustrated.
That's one of the things that tells me I'm frustrated, yeah.
Okay, but in other situations, the same thing is telling you you're not frustrated?
Could tell me I'm excited.
Okay.
Could tell me that I'm,
So would you be frustrated about not being excited?
yeah.
Yeah, I would. Yeah?
Valid.
So do you know sometimes when you're doing something, right, you think you got everything planned out, and you kind of expect things to happen, and you really want to feel excited, but it doesn't happen as fast as you thought it could be, because other people with their own decisions and behavior kind of interfere a little bit. So I would be frustrated about not feeling excited, I guess. But at the same time, I don't really know when frustration becomes excitement, because excitement is kind of like an energy, isn't it? I don't know. It's just me. I'm not sure about you, though.
Yeah, it's just excited, it's a different
Yeah.
kind of energy.
Okay. So when you feel that, what used to be frustration, but is excitement, right? What else is there besides feeling excited with that feeling, What happens? Does your heart feel, beat faster, harder?
When I'm excited,
Yeah.
start paying more attention to things.
Details. Yeah. So you get like the full view, the full experience,
Yeah,
because that's how excited you are. You actually kind of expand your attention. Is that it, or what's happening?
focus in more.
Focus in more. Okay. How does that feel? Focusing in more of being excited. You could be frustrated, but we don't talk about that anymore. But focusing in on feeling excited.
Blocking out the things that are, when I'm excited, blocking out the things that are unpleasant.
That doesn't matter?
Yeah,
Okay.
doesn't matter.
Okay. Because you can choose to do that, right? In that moment you could. You just told me.
Yeah,
So when you feel excited, you block out things that is not working for you or could be unpleasant.
right.
So that's actually something you can do. So when do you know when to do that and when not to do it? Blocking out things. How excited could you be about blocking out frustration? Just thinking. Very? Yeah, pretty excited about that? How excited are you really about blocking out frustration? As you did.
It would be very exciting to be able to do that.
It would be. How does it feel right now?
Feels fantastic.
Did you block it out?
Yeah.
So what's the problem?
Right now, there isn't one.
Well, you just told me like minutes ago that you had a problem.
I did, minutes ago.
Yeah. But you decided to block it out?
Mm-hmm.
Powerful. So does that come easy?
A lot easier than I thought.
That's exciting, isn't it?
It's very,
It's really exciting. So how does that feel? Feeling that excited?
pretty amazing.
Pretty amazing, doesn't it? So how much more can you do when you can just block out things and feel that excited? What else can you do?
Pretty much anything else I want to do.
Do you know that feeling sometimes you get so excited that when you think about it, you can watch people that you usually kind of like, oh, that used to be a frustrating, experience. But now you're so excited and so focused that you can just stand there and watch and see those people not being able to block out their frustration. That's pretty exciting, isn't it? How much energy do you get from, thinking about that right now?
A lot, because I'm not wasting it on being frustrated.
So when you're not wasting it, what are you really doing with it?
Putting it to a good purpose.
Because you're a guy with good purpose, aren't you?
Well, I hope so.
But how do you really feel? Do you have purpose?
Yeah.
You know what you want, don't you? So what you want, isn't that right for you?
What I want is what I feel is right for me.
That's freaking exciting. You know how many people who don't think that? That they think they have to do other stuff for other people, but you know what's good for you, right? What is good for you?
Working toward getting my goals,
Awesome. That's exciting.
being with my family, supporting my family.
That's more energy, Paul. Awesome. So, what's the problem? You talked about a problem. What is it?
Originally, I thought the problem was just being frustrated at people and
What is it really?
looking at things a different way.
Okay. I want to test you right now.
Okay.
And you can be as excited as you want to be because you're good at, feeling that. I know. I see it already. Just talking about it, right? I want you really to try and connect with that, that old, thing. But you could block it out. But try and connect with it. But feel excited while doing it because that's the real feeling. And let me know if you can at all connect with it. Really try doing it. Think about it as hard as you can, or maybe you blocked it out already. I don't know. What does that mean?
I can see myself how I used to feel, but I don't feel that way now.
Isn't that interesting? So you remember how it was, but you feel differently. How is that possible? Like 7 minutes ago, I could see on you when you talk about frustration, totally different. But something's happening inside, right? What is it?
Just changing the way I'm looking at it. It's just realizing, a realization.
Well, that's your energy. That's your focus. Imagine being that focused on that, but you never saw it until now. How exciting is that? I know why you were frustrated, because you didn't have that as you have right now. Now it's pure excitement, isn't it?
It really is.
Try not to feel excited about that. Try and block it out if you can. What?
Yeah.
Well, you can't?
Can't block feeling excited about being excited.
Yeah, you said it. I didn't. So, problem?
Not anymore.
Okay, good. I'm happy.
So am I.
Yeah, thank you. All right. So, this is, again, out of context, right? Because if this was a session, there were so many things I wanted to grab from that conversation and still just throw back at him again and again and again. I might even throw in some more, hypnotic techniques, trauma release or whatever. It could be anything really. Parts therapy, anything that was connected to the source or whatever. But what I did right now was a mechanical thing. All the brain work I talked about earlier, this just happened. And even better, if people who think they have a problem, let's say during the pre-talk, they can imagine a whole lot of, shit as a problem. And I just did this process a couple of times with you, Will. And I asked you to really connect with it, what you thought was the problem. And I did not tell you not to use your imagination. I know you tried it, but it was impossible, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know what that's proof of? The process happened. So the 4 minutes or 4 hours came down to close to 4 minutes of doing the change or all the electrical networks within the brain, because now it's going different places into the body. So when I say frustrated, how do you feel?
I feel great.
There you go. So this is the proof. If it didn't happen and I say frustrated, he would go immediately. So now the neuron network works in a different way. The synapses already disconnected, and the glial cells happen so fast. And since we played a little bit, but here's a funny thing. The reason why hypnosis really works is something called white matter. Do you know about that? Some of you do, yeah? White matter is something, it's kind of like a lubricant that is provided within your brain when you're a child and you're learning new stuff. The more white matter, the glial cells and all the small processes provide to all the neural networks, the faster it learns. So if you have a 7-year-old and an adult 40 years old, the kid with white matter would learn stuff 100 times faster. This is science, okay? And until recently, people thought, well, you can't trigger it. You can, if you're done with your learning process and you're older than 14, 15 years old, there's no white matter in your brain. Wrong. When you get in playful, when you confuse people as I did right now, and you start thinking about new ideas, that process happened. He learned stuff 100 times faster, maybe a little bit less. Hey, come on, right? But still way faster than he normally would. Otherwise, this process couldn't have happened. And I really make a big, effort about saying that you're not just pleasing me, right? Because you're an honest man, correct? So if there was a problem, you would have said it, correct?
Yes, I would have.
Good, because I don't care about your problem, if you have it or not. I just want you to see the options, right? So think about this. You used to be frustrated about that. He starts laughing. It's interesting, isn't it? Look at the color change. Even just saying the word, think about it, Will, frustrated. What happens? There you go, color change again. Awesome. So this is proof that the brain is actually doing the change work already.
Is that like neuroplasticity?
Yeah, yeah, big time.
This is so amazing.
And why do you think I keep repeating it? What do you think happens every time? Right?
I know.
Really getting it inside. This is how I want to work. This is, I don't need to know anything. Every time you had like a good, not an argument, a good proof of a problem being a problem, I questioned it. And you kind of lost the evidence. Well, all of that, good. It means you're ready for change, right? And actually, do you know? Here comes the big question. What did I do to really, start up the big change work in him? Because I did something in the very beginning, totally out of context. That.
You broke the pattern. You stopped him right in the middle.
Yeah, but how did it happen? He talked about something that was the whole key to everything. That he knows how things is going to happen because he's in control. I totally destroyed that because, so what was that? He went, what? Well, when you talked about that, something happened. You did like this with your thumbs, and he did it. And he did it, but he didn't know why. I said, so that must mean something. And he went like, fuck. I don't know. You don't know, so how do you know? And then back to the problem. How do you know that's a problem? Poof, mush in your brain. That was it. That was it. So this is why I love hypnosis, because, okay, here's another question. Here's another, one second. Here's another question. Can we agree on the fact this was an open eye conversation?
Yes.
Did I do any induction?
No.
Was he hypnotized?
Yes.
Hell yeah, right? So does it matter about the induction? Does that, does we really have to pay attention to the old classical, let's do an induction? No, not at all. I conditioned you way before with the peak state, so that was working for me, right? Yes. And I saw your body language. I have when I'm working like this, either teaching or sitting with clients, I remember every single move from all of you because I'm totally in trance. 10 minutes after my talk, ask me about specifics within the conversation, I will go like, huh? No, I don't want to remember it because it's not mine. I'm just, I'm just a tool. Okay? Is that okay to say, I'm just a tool? Most cases it's not, but I'm proud of it.
What does that feel like?
Huh?
Where does that come from?
Did I say something? Right? So this is really what I wanted to show you guys, that if you understand, the science behind it, and if you understand the less you say, the less you analyze, the less stuff you put in there, but just being freaking present and use body language, throw everything back at them, you will have something huge as that, because it was huge, wasn't it?
It was.
But how much bigger is this excitement?
Even bigger than that.
There we go. That's why it's working, right? Question?
Does that also work on phobias?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm asking.
Yeah.
Not just the fear.
Why do you think you have a phobia?
Why do you ask that?
Exactly. So there's a reason why I always say, so you think?
What usually when this a doctor told me that?
How does he know how you feel?
That's right.
They go, well, he's a doctor. Okay. So he has a book all about you, huh? How you feel and how you think, right? They go, no. So how does he know? Well, exactly, right? So it's kind of like, what most therapists, I guess, is afraid of is having this kind of dialogue. I love it because it's the key to everything. There's no way I would lose a battle like this. It's because it's not a battle. You have to remember, it's not a battle. It's kind of like, if you know the non-awareness set that Igor created out of John Overdev's stuff called Trance of a Lifetime. Did I say too much? Okay. It's kind of like, whenever there's a behavior that the person is not aware of, it's something. It's a key to you, because they don't know why they did it, and I can have the most stubborn person in the world saying, "I'm in control of everything." Okay, so why did you do that when you said everything? Well, I decided to do so. Aha. So you decided exactly when to do it? Yes, I did. So do it again. That was not it. That was something different. So do it again. So, okay, I can't. So how could you control it? Well, I know how to do it. Apparently not, right? So okay, let's do it another way. So you know how to do it. So which muscles do you actually contract and release to do that? I don't know exactly. I just want them to kind of just, dig their own grave and jump straight into it, and I go like, ha ha, right? So let's talk about the real reality right now. You ready? I have a ladder. You want to come up here, right? That's basically what I'm doing without demeaning my client, without making them think, oh, I'm stupid, because that's not the purpose. But as long as they know the whole way through that I have a positive intention, but I might be a little bit aggressive, provocative, whatever it takes, but that's only for the conscious mind. And you saw the shift within Will when his conscious mind went like, fuck you, and left, and he went like, please? Yeah. Right? Correct? Yeah. Did you feel it? Yes. Good. And at that point, it didn't matter, did it? No. But you were pretty much provoked by my questions and everything until that very moment. It didn't take that long. I think it was like 90 or 100 seconds within the conversation, it kind of left. That's how fast it went. So that means if you look at the clock, let's say, how much time did we spend? Like 8 minutes? Now I got 50 freaking 2 minutes to have fun with Will and empower it and really make him test it out again and again and again. And if we talk about, phobia, trauma, whatever, in the end of the session, I will take him so far that everything he thought from the past was an issue or a problem or something that would make him feel frightened or whatever, I will take not just one of those episodes or situations, take everything, pile it up in front of him and multiply it. And have him with his new resources just go straight through it and tell me how it feels. And he will go like, no problem. Exactly. How does that feel? Because tomorrow, we just started, Will. This is like, the engine is just turned on right now. So imagine when everything is working correct, everything is synchronized, and you really know that, that's gone, but now we can do great stuff, right? Yeah. So here's another small secret that's really important to the work that I do. Did you notice my hand gestures? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do this quite a lot when I'm talking about problems. Yeah. So when I do this, in what corner of your eye am I actually, doing something right now? Inner dialogue. So when I'm demeaning that, like, problem, like, that's your inner dialogue. So it means that it minimizes every self-critic you can have that's connected to the problem. I'm minimizing it. But when I'm talking about what we can do, so it's eye patterns. That's it. And some people go, oh, it's not how the brain works. Well, it's proven. It is. So if it's natural for me to actually use those, gestures, it will definitely make a difference with my client. It took me 2 times with you just doing the gesture. We talked about the blockage, like, and when I did the 3rd time, you just started laughing without even knowing. I didn't even say the word. I just did that. You went, pfft. So your brain got it. You didn't, but your brain got it, right? That's pretty cool, isn't it? That's very cool. Yeah. Imagine how good you are at stuff when you're not thinking about it. Even better now. Yeah. Good. Yeah. What did I just do again? Oh, yeah. Yeah. So imagine having a dial all the way up to 10. Imagine going from 10 to 1,000 and feeling excited. Try to block that out. What did I just do again? So this is having fun with clients and having fun with problems. because if there was no problems, he wouldn't feel as amazing as he's doing right now. So we need to accept and understand what we thought was a problem is what ignited the great feeling we have right now. So it's all good, right? The thing about the old school, old-fashioned way of let's isolate that and kind of, tear it out of the body and throw it away and leave the client with a big gap and a big black hole in the middle of the body and see what happens. It gets dirty. And the client will try to put new stuff in there with equal bad behavior or even worse. No, that's good. But because the intention was there, but the behavior was wrong, so I just totally killed the behavior. And that's just a reaction to a need we have inside. So right now, we gave him the true resource of the real behavior, so there's no conflict, no misunderstanding within his mind. Right? Cool. So this combined with, whatever techniques you use, or inductions you use, open eye, closed eye, whatever, if you get this and you understand the science behind it, that is evidence-based, take a look at that and explore it a little bit. If you understand the process within a conversation, there's no way your client's going to leave with a bigger problem or just, still a problem. No way. There was some talk about earlier about, non-God talked about, well, don't promise one session miracles. I don't. But to be honest, 98% of the past 4 years' work was a one session wonder. So when the client gets in, I'm like, so what's the problem? They go, well, this is the title. I stop them. They go like, well, before we continue, how many times do you think I need to, get to your office? And I know, therapists sell kind of like, well, you could get 5 sessions for, the price of 3.5 or 4, I don't know. Well, the session that works is the first one, but they don't realize it until the last one. So it's just, a waste of time, really. And most people think about, oh, then we get 5 sessions, though. If I do something like that to a client, they will tell 10 people who wants a session. So that's even better, okay? So I usually say, well, a lot of stuff is going to happen today. The question is how great you want to feel and how fast you realize it. So if you feel the need for another session, we could talk about that in a week or two when you really feel all the changes happening already and again every day. It might be you don't need another session. And if you might need another session, it might be for something different. But I'm guessing right now, being as powerful as you can be after the session, you might be able to solve it yourself because you can. So that's my suggestion before I actually start doing the work. So do you think after the session they go like, so should I come tomorrow? Nope. They just got the courage to actually go and deal with stuff themselves. Throughout the whole session, they learned a lot of new stuff about themselves. So if that works, I'm not even considering a new session until at least 1 week or 2 weeks has passed by, because that's the full integration time. And if I asked them after 2 weeks, they would go like, no, I feel great. But if there's going to be a new problem, I'm pretty sure they're going to call me. But that's a different problem, okay? All the false realities, gone. That's it. That's the science behind it. It's pretty simple. So it's kind of like, to kind of like summarize everything. If you make it too complicated, it will be. Everything is, in my world, excuse me my language again, freaking fucking simple. It is. If I look at kind of like every client I had for the past 10 years, it all came down to, do I accept, love, and respect myself? Do I take my own responsibility? Do I accept my full potential of, living my life? That's the issue. If they don't, they have problems. That's excuses for not living your own life. If I, put it out in a more philosophical way, but it's basically it. It's not complicated. The conscious mind is the only thing that's complicated in any kind of situation. So why make, therapy complicated? Why make tools so complicated if it's really not necessary? Well, in some cases, because it feeds our conscious mind thinking, oh, that's a complicated process. It must be a good one then, because I don't get it, right? That's it. That's how we, again, that's how we are, constructed in our brains, because it's all survival, 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 right? So this is basically it. So this is what I wanted to play with you guys with today and show you a little bit about the world I live in when I do hypnosis. And most people go, well, because you didn't come from a script background. I tried it all, trust me. If you put down a list of 10 of the world's biggest names in hypnotherapy for the past 20 years, it's most likely I studied with them. I've spent like maybe $200,000 in trainings the past 10 years. It's not a lie. I spent at least a month, one and a half, sometimes 2 a year, just to travel and study, to learn new stuff, because I'm hungry. I want to know it. I want to feel it. I want to sense it. So I usually know what I'm talking about, to make it easier for you guys, all right? But you need the experience too. It's not the real world just because I say it. It's my world. And I'm just telling you why it works for me, because I got that experience. So if that motivates you or inspires you to think differently, my job is done. If you take 1% of it, awesome. If you take all, awesome. Don't try and be me, because you're not. It's not about the sentences or how I construct the sentences. It's how you communicate with the client. How much bull you believe in from your client. Less bull, better results.
No, I love this so much, because I feel like the scripts are crippling me.
Of course they are.
I just said they're crippling me. And
Yeah.
when I've had a very difficult client, and I'm just into it, and things are going, and I'm not thinking about, oh, I need the script, I need this, then I'm great, and I love the challenge, and I love all this stuff, and like he was saying, it's belly button to belly button, it's juicy, and it's perfect, that kind of stuff, but when I get out that
I
damn
know.
script, I'm stuck.
It's so limited.
It's so limited.
I would never say never read a script, because there might be some good ideas and metaphors or whatever, but don't read it to a client, because that's, basically it's totally wrong. It's an idea, but it's not your client.
No, it's not.
And you can have like 10 clients with the same problem, but you have to communicate with them in 10 different ways. So how would that paper help you? Not at all, right?
But how do we get to know how to do this? This is complex.
It's not complex, no.
Well, how do we get to find out how to do it? I know
Pick some papers afterwards.
This is called no BS. We're not supposed to get into that, but I'll.
Yeah, but you can grab some of the papers, and I put out a lot of videos, also free videos, with a lot of demos. Go watch it, and if you need more help, get in touch. That's it, basically it. And I want to end up with one last anecdote with the things you said. One of my best friends in the world, entire world, called Steve Rame, if you know that guy. Really good conversational hypnotherapist out of Nashville. Igor Ledachovsky's #1 trainer throughout 8 years. Even better than Igor. He had a client some years ago who came in, who has been a client with another hypnotherapist in Nashville for 7 years in a row, with regular, sessions. And she came in, and Steve asked, so is there any special induction you prefer? And she went like, nope, not really. Anything beyond the things we've done so far. He said, so how much hypnosis have you had, and what kind of experience? So it was easier for him to adapt her, right? And she said, well, we never went beyond the induction. He was like, she was he, I remember it wrong. He was like, so you never went past the induction? No. How come? Well, for all 7 years, it felt like good relaxing exercise. I felt, nice and at ease afterwards, but I could choose between 4 inductions: the forest, the beach, the field of flowers, or the mountain. I hate all 4 places. I don't like them. But I got a wood shop. I love creating stuff with my tools and stuff like that. And Steve was like, why not use that? Going even deeper down while there's so many metaphors you can use. So the client never went beyond the induction because it had to be one of the four. Come on, right? Stop it. It has nothing to do with that. So the only limitations your client have is your imagination. That's it. Okay? So be open-minded and have fun with it. It's not a problem. It's a resource. Think about it that way, and it'll work out easily. So you're all welcome. There's a couple of cards and papers up there. Grab one if you want to ask me questions. I'm here all week. All the rest of the week anyway. And if you want some more information, put your email down and I'll send you some stuff. Pretty good. Thank you.